Hello Gemini, and welcome to your monthly in-depth forecast for April for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you some standout details to look out for, but please stay with me. I will dive deep to give you in forensic detail all the ins and outs, particularly relevant to your sign. Now, Jupiter is the planet of fortune, and it's going to be linking with the Sun on the 11th in the part of your situation that connects you to others. So whether it's through your friendships, your alliances, your causes, or perhaps even your future hopes, something really positive can develop in the second week of this month. So I can't wait to share that in much greater detail with you. But also Venus, the planet of charm, of allure, but also of self-worth, moves into your sign on the 11th, and that is really going to be helpful because I think at the start of the month there could be some tension around a relationship or an involvement, and I feel by the 11th you can start to make much greater sense of how things can go forwards. But this is a month when we have a solar eclipse on the 20th, but the Sun moves later that day into a more sheltered part of your situation, and your ruler is going to be in that sheltered situation from the 3rd of the month through to the end of the month, but it goes into a retrograde on the 21st, and it goes into its pre-shadow period from the 7th. So I need to share with you about this because it's going to have a big impact on the part of your situation that's more to do with the things that you may be reluctant to look at. It may be to do with old issues, hurts, anxieties. All these things may get stirred up by Mercury's retrograde in that area. Now, if you would like to ascend above this zodiac broadcast, if you give me 3 pieces of personal birth data of time, date and place of birth, I can give you a life roadmap report which can really help you to understand some of the patterns that have played out throughout your life and get a much more intimate understanding, the more challenging ones, but also the ones that present opportunities. Understanding those patterns is a lot to do with how we can take more control of our lives. And in my special package, you can also get your 12-month personal forecast, and there's 30% off. If you don't know your time, I have designed a new set of charts which can work with that. We don't use the ascendant, and we use whole sign astrology, but based on the Sun. And this will help you to reflect in my videos in a very, very positive way. Again, there's 30% off if you have the analysis and the forecast. Please see below for more on that too. So Gemini, the start of your month could be a little bit unsettled with Venus and Uranus closely tethered together in a conjunction. And if you would be so good to subscribe to my channel, I would be so grateful. But this conjunction can give you food for thought, maybe to do with an issue from the past, and I feel it's going to be a bit of a repetitive theme all through this month. Even if you don't want to look at certain issues, other people may be quite provocative in trying to draw your attention to the ways that maybe you go about things that you're not quite so conscious of. But on the 3rd, Mercury moves into the part of your situation that's to do with reflection, joining up with Venus. But Mercury, of course, is your ruler, and it does immediately forge a really juddering right angle to Pluto, newly arrived in the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius for you is very much about expansion, travel, higher education. So your way of looking at a situation psychologically could be amplified about how you think about things, but not necessarily in an easy way. So something may seem quite challenging to deal with across those few days. But you know, despite Venus being in the conjunction with Uranus and Mercury moving into a tender area and clashing with Pluto, the first week does see Mars in your sector of everyday finance forge a great link with Saturn in your sector of goals, success and ambition. So As long as some worries are not inhibiting you, I think by the end of the first week you might actually be quite pleased by how things are shaping up. But the full moon, which occurs on the 6th, is probably going to ask you to manage your time a little bit more acutely, because the Sun in the friendly Aries for you, along with Jupiter, and they're very close together on this event, are in opposition with the moon in your sister air sign of Libra. So the moon in Libra is asking us all to think about our relationships. So if you're not getting quite enough time with your friends or your partner, or you don't have a partner and would like one, or you don't seem to have any social life at all, a lot of these issues could be driven by some of the demands that you're feeling from work, from family members, financially. And I think you're being asked on this full moon to try and rethink some things. But because the position of Uranus forges a tense angle to the moon position, something could come out into the opener. Someone could make an observation, or a secret can surface, which could be a little bit uncomfortable. And then on the 7th, Mercury starts its pre-retrograde shadow, so it's slowing down. So I think for the next few weeks, you are going to be finding yourself thinking quite deeply about different elements of yourself and life. But on the 11th, we do have that glorious exact alliance between the Sun and Jupiter, one of the luckiest aspects in astrology. It's going to be manifesting in all across week 2. It won't just be on that day. And somebody in your circle could be a real supporter, or it's possible that a new interest or a group of people can really give you some uplift. And also on the 11th, with Venus moving into your sign, if you have been worrying about your love life, it forges a great trine with Pluto. So whereas Mercury was challenged by Pluto, Venus finds a great link, which helps you to see the quality of certain alliances, even if you have been worrying about how committed some people are to you, or whether they are withholding some criticism, they're not entirely convinced about some of what you're trying to do. I think on the 11th, you will feel a lot happier. But from the 16th to the 24th, your ruler is side by side with Uranus. And I think your nervous system could get electrified by this. You may find sleep a little bit more at a premium, but the best way to deal with that, for all of us, is to put the phones outside the bedroom, have that quiet period before you go to bed, drink the nice calming drinks, the different herbal things that are just very gentle, that just really mellow us out, and try to not let your mind think too much, because the potential to overthink from the 16th to the 24th is actually really strong. The 20th solar eclipse for you is in a part of your horoscope to do with your future plans, but because it does square up to Pluto, it's kind of saying to you, your future plans have to be realistic from a financial viewpoint, because although Pluto is just into Aquarius and asking you to explore the airy qualities of that sign, of course Pluto is in its full in Aquarius, but I feel that you're still going to be working out some of the latent energies of Pluto's transit through Capricorn. So you can't be too idealistic about resources, and perhaps also about friendships on that solar eclipse, and that's going to be a theme for the following 6 months. But then also on the 20th, the Sun relocates into your 12th house, joining up with Mercury, your ruler, and then on the 21st, Mercury formally goes retrograde. So that's the part of the month, I feel, where the deep thinking really can become quite profound. But one of the great things about deep thinking, as long as we're not letting anxieties just circulate around our mind, which we all can do at times, is to try to actually find sources of information which reassure you about some of your concerns. So the fact that you are such a thinker and you have such a passion for knowledge can see you really digging deep, I feel, and getting down into the bones of a situation, which can give you a lot of reassurance. Also, the Sun does forge a very stable link with Saturn in the last phase of this month, if you've worked tirelessly behind the scenes over a long period of time, it's possible that you'll start to see your energy manifest in your professional situation in a more solid way, but not necessarily with people sort of waving banners and honking klaxons. It's going to be a bit more subtle than that. But that said, Mars in the part of your horoscope to do with everyday money does link brilliantly with Uranus as the month draws to a close. So again, the things you've done behind the scenes can be influential in what goes on in the here and now. So your more worldly situation can manifest in a more solid way towards the end of this month. But I feel for Gemini people, often your way of dealing with anxiety, worries, the shadow side of your nature is to basically be very amusing, flexible, and take 10 different positions in subsequent moments, which completely enchants everybody because no one can keep up with just how quick you are. But sometimes that can be a mask for really grappling with some serious, deeper, more emotional issues. So I think this month is really asking you to grapple with those once and for all, because if you can become more intimate with some of your fears, you can get to know them better. They're not necessarily just all going to disappear into the ether, but just a greater familiarity or even acceptance of some parts of your nature will take a lot of the stress away that Uranus has been manifesting for you over the last few years. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Gemini. Thank you so much for joining me. Please like, comment, or subscribe.